but these were also happened to be hotbeds of terrorism. Wasn't that what was really behind the ban as opposed to prejudice?
I'm not really big on even the names of the 7 nations, but I know Somalia is one of them, and that certainly is not a hotbed of terrorism.
David Menzies for the Rebel.media here in Washington, D.C. Well, you know, I'm just standing outside the White House, and one of the wonderful things I'd like to see whenever I come to Washington is people using their First Amendment rights. Case in point, there's 2 gentlemen directly behind me. One has a sign that says "Build the Wall." Another has a sign that says "Hate won't make America great again." Let's go talk to them and see what these signs are all about. Well, I'm here with Marty Pearl, who is brandishing a sign that says, "Hate won't make America great." And Marty, first of all, can you tell me what is the message that you are trying to convey with this sign?
Well, you said you're from Canada. I know you're very familiar with our politics. So you know that Mr. Trump's campaign slogan was "Make America Great Again." And then even before he was nominated, and certainly during his election campaign and now during his presidency, the way he's displaying "Make America Great" is to have very restrictive immigration policies. Policies where he's even said the people crossing our southern border are murderers and rapists. So I believe he's a very prejudiced man.
But certainly, Marty, isn't it fair to say that any sovereign nation anywhere in the world has the right to protect its borders? Because without doing so, is it really a sovereign nation to begin with?
Absolutely. And I have no intention of having completely open borders. But what I'd like to see is the circumstance that allowed my parents to come here as children and allowed Mr. Trump's grandfather to come here as a young man. The circumstance is you vet people who want to come into your country. When you find people are honest, are not tended toward criminal behavior, and they want to come here for good reason, which in the case of my parents was persecution and an opportunity, then you allow those people in, and you still maintain a restricted border. So if you can 2 things. If you can define that somebody coming in is coming in for evil purpose, you stop them. And then if somebody comes into this country, because the system can't be perfect, it isn't perfect for our own citizens. So when somebody does commit a crime, then you criminally prosecute them the way you would anybody within your borders. But can I say one more thing? When you categorically say brown people are no good, Muslim people are no good, that's just plain prejudice. That's not protecting a border.
But has the president actually said these statements?
Absolutely. He said the brown people part by saying the people crossing our southern border are criminals and rapists. He said the Muslim part by defining 7 countries that are Muslim majority countries. And when he tried to start that policy, said we've got to stop Muslims from coming in. Then later he was told you can't call it a Muslim ban because it won't pass through the court system. So what he changed was we say that those 7 countries don't have good systems for vetting their own passport system and their own visa system.
Marty, weren't these 7 nations, yes, they were Muslim majority nations, and there are several others in the world, but these were also happened to be hotbeds of terrorism. Wasn't that what was really behind the ban as opposed to prejudice?
I'm not really big on even the names of the 7 nations, but I know Somalia is one of them, and that certainly is not a hotbed of terrorism as far as coming to the U.S. Yemen is another one, and I know that's not. But even if they are, then absolutely we have to enforce that border, enforce our laws, and vet the people trying to come in. But that's very different than saying no Muslims can come in, and we've effectively done that.
Marty, on the flip side, I was in Mexico last November for about a week following the caravan, and it became evident to me, being on the ground, that so many of these people, they weren't necessarily refugees or people fleeing persecution, but they were really economic migrants trying to jump the queue instead of legally emigrating to the U.S. And yet there are people, we see them in the Democratic Party, that advocate the idea of no borders. Isn't that a little extreme?
Yes, absolutely. That is, by my standard, a lot extreme. The no border idea is no good when the disparity exists between this country and most of the rest of the world. Not certainly the developed world like Canada, but the rest of the world. If we have no borders, then we have a situation that we have now for countries that are accepting Syrian refugees. I have a friend who's Lebanese. A 3.5 million person country now has 1 million Syrian refugees. Now, they didn't do that voluntarily. They were forced by pressures from outside to do it. But the idea of suggesting any country, even as rich as ours, could absorb a third of its population suddenly in poor immigrants is ridiculous. And I believe that some of the campaigns are using an extreme rhetoric to draw attention to themselves and not only their immigration ideas, but their other ideas as well. And I think the Democratic Party and the eventual candidate will have a much more nuanced and a much more mature position about immigration.
Well, we'll see when the time comes. I'm just going to try to catch that other fellow that has a sign that says build the wall. So thank you for your time, Marty.
Thank you so much for your time. Hello, Canada. I love Canada.
I'm with Kemp Gatewood from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And Kemp, just a few minutes ago, you were displaying your build the wall sign.
9/11 sign.
And a 9/11 sign.
Yes.
Okay. And what is your motivation to come out here today and display those signs?
Jehovah, the Lord Jesus Christ, the Father in heaven.
And tell me, what kind of reaction do you get to your signs? I was just talking to the gentleman a few meters away from us who is saying hate won't make America great. I guess he would not take the position of building a wall.
Let's just say this. The president is not saying do not come. He had to go through paperwork to be president, and they nominated him. He's saying do it legal. You don't leave your back door open, do you? You don't go home and knock out your walls, do you? No, there's walls. There's walls for a reason.
No, I tend to agree with that. I think that any sovereign nation in the world has the right to protect and defend its borders, and if it doesn't do so, it's not really a sovereign nation.
That wall is necessary. Everyone that I met from San Diego or that border come up to me and tap me or grab me and let me know, thank you. And they don't even know me. And they're thanking me because of this wall that it's necessary to be put up.
And, sir, how would you rate President Trump's record since he's taken office?
I'm going to rate him first class. Yes, that's high.
And it's interesting, I find, as an outsider to this nation, that, I mean, when you see the rhetoric coming out of the Democratic Party, they would say a person of color, such as yourself, should be voting Democrat. I mean, the Republicans are not your friends. What do you have to say to that kind of idea?
When you wake up to knowledge and someone let you know exactly what it is, foundation, principle, reality, do the right thing. It's Republican all the way. I can't go Democrat.
And certainly there are some prominent Democrats. Not only do they not want to see the wall built, they want to see ICE dismantled. They don't want to see any borders.
Well, let's just say this. If there's a war today or tomorrow, whose side would they be on?
You know what? That's almost a trick question with some of the Democrats that are out there right now.
Right, yes it is. And it's a good question, and please, someone answer that, because this is one nation, and it's called Make America Great. If you're not here to do that, then you need to be in another country, because this is why everyone's trying to get over here, because this place is a land of opportunity, peace, integrity, and hearts manly.
You know, you've got a good point. I mean, when you look around the world, even at those nations that, generate anti-American rhetoric, when you go to the consulates there are people lined up around the block trying to emigrate into America.
Oh, yes, everywhere they can. They're going to try. And like I said, it's not going to stop them from digging tunnels or trying to find a new way in, but it's going to put a damper in someone's game plan. And I'm hoping that they put the borders exactly where it's needed.
Now, and tell me, sir, you're saying President Trump is doing the right thing by building the wall. It's basically protecting, the United States of America. But I'm wondering, what do you think the Democratic agenda is, or the agenda of the Democrats, I should say, in terms of having open borders? Is it actually to change the demographics of America so that they retain power?
Well, we're back at one nation. It's still one nation. And when you look around the scale, it's just still one nation. And there's a God up there. And when you look at war, peace, happiness, where is that at right now? It's in America. And this is what's needed. And what they need to do is sit down, come together to an agreement where both parties are happy. But as you know, that's never going to happen.
Well, thank you very much for your time, sir. I appreciate it.
God bless you. Thank you.
Well, there you have it then. Two different Americans voicing two diametrically opposing viewpoints here on the lawn of the White House, exercising their First Amendment rights. And it's kind of refreshing. We live in a day and age where typically one side wants to shut the other down if their arguments or viewpoints are offensive or triggering or part of some kind of made-up ism or phobia. So at the end of the day, when you see these First Amendment rights exercised here in a nonviolent fashion, well, really, isn't that the way free speech should work? For the Rebel.media, I'm David the Menzoid Menzies. Hey folks, if you like that video, please like and subscribe and never miss another Rebel video.